Warwickshire all-rounder Paul Smith, who knows all about playing alongside a prodigious talent, because Paul was in the same side as Brian Lara at Edgbaston, and I would have thought Paul probably in the same side of the bar as Brian as well, weren't you, at times?
Yeah, to different times, yes. Yeah.
What is it like when you've got such a prodigious talent in the dressing room? Can it disrupt the dressing room, and how do management approach that?
I think we were lucky in a way because we had someone as good as Bob Woolmer who sort of like managed it pretty well. It's difficult because if you've got someone like a Kevin Pietersen or a Brian Lara, you've got a standout performer, people who will win games of cricket that other players won't. That would include players in their own team. I think you just have to accept that if you've got someone like that in your team, that you know, people will want their time more than maybe other people around them. I think you have to be professional about it, and I think that 9 times out of 10 you can get around certain things. Lara got quite a lot of flack when he was with us, mostly from the media. There was a little bit of strife within the changing room, but not really very much. You know, people can be late, everyday occurrences can crop up, but I just think you have to understand that you have to put up with these things. If you were a football manager and you signed Pele, you'd have to understand that people would want, you know, him slightly more than, you know, the guy that's your goalkeeper or whatever. Alex Ferguson, for example.
Well, I think the issue here, Paul, isn't it, is that he has sent texts which are of a derogatory nature about his captain and the management. He's said that he doesn't feel part of the dressing room. And what I thought was most interesting about this is when one of Stuart Broad's mates set up a fake Twitter account taking the mickey out of him, 7 of the England lads followed it.
Well, yeah, I think that if the issue here is the fact that he sent texts, then if Kevin Pietersen has had meeting with the senior people within the English Cricket Board, and that would be people like Hugh Morris and, you know, Andy Flower, etc., etc., if what is being discussed in that meeting has then been leaked to the media, then they're as guilty as Kevin Pietersen, surely, for sending text messages.
We often hear, don't we, from ex-footballers who played the game at the same time when you were probably playing cricket, that any kind of dispute in the dressing room was normally sorted by a good old-fashioned punch-up. What happened in the cricket dressing room? Because that's frankly not cricket, is it?
Well, I've never seen a punch-up in a changing room. I've obviously heard people, you know, sort of like, you know, have a clash of words or something like that. But I think by and large, I mean, you play professional sport, you understand that you're under scrutiny. There's cameras. There's the written media, there's microphones, and there's this, that, and the other. I think that if the common goal is to try and go out there and win games of cricket, then you thrash it out, you put things aside. I think things like selfishness within changing room is more dangerous than having people who have opinions.
Yeah, and because what you're looking for is consistency. I mean, you know, you mentioned Brian Lara. Was he fined when he turned up late in the same way that you would have been, or was it a different rule for the superstar?
Got fined for being late, and I don't think Brian Lara got fined for being late. I just think that, you know, we live in a very busy world. I think that the art of communication has expanded greatly with text messages and tweeting and this, that, and the other. So there are going to be these sort of, I mean, what do? Do you just sort of like say, I'm going to be a professional sportsman for 15 years of my career. I'm not going to have a mobile phone. I'm not going to tweet. I'm not going to answer my own, my own emails. Then you become seen as a sullen character who isn't part of the team and this, that, and the other. It's a very difficult argument to win. At the end of the day, people buy tickets to watch test matches or one-day internationals to see the likes of Kevin Pietersen go out and perform in the manner that they do. They put bums on seats, they're of interest. The fact that the media are constantly after them mean that, you know, must in itself tell you. The fact that we're talking about Kevin Pietersen and not sort of say Andrew Strauss playing his 100th test match, which is fantastic. But you understand?
Yeah.
People have to be treated slightly differently because their lives are differently. They do toe the line 90% of the time. But unfortunately, it's the other 10% of life that sometimes we let ourselves down in.
Paul, a complete pleasure to talk to you on the radio. I used to watch you for years and years at Warwickshire. Thanks for coming on. Former Warwickshire all-rounder Paul Smith. Louise Lear has the weather.
Heavy rain